He stood alone in a dim workshop, staring at another burnt filament, another failure. And for a moment, he wondered if the world was right to call him foolish. The soft evening light filtered through dusty windows, illuminating a cluttered desk where a broken bulb lay, its spark long faded. A slow pan across the chaos of his workbench, filled with wires and glass, settles on his eyes, tired, but not yet defeated. A light electric crackle hangs in the air, followed by the quiet, steady beat of his heart. Thomas Edison was not born a genius. As a child, his teachers told him he was too slow, too distracted, too difficult to teach. In a classroom from the 1850s, you could see young Thomas sitting alone, the whispers of other children like rustling leaves around him. He wasn't like the others, and the world made sure he knew it. But his mother refused to let those words define him. She saw a spark that others missed. She took him out of school and taught him at home, transforming his endless questions from a distraction into his greatest strength. In the warm afternoon light of their small library, she helped him navigate worlds held within the pages of books, her gentle smile a constant source of encouragement. She wasn't just teaching him facts. She was teaching him how to learn, how to be curious, and how to believe in himself. As a teenager, life demanded more from him. He sold newspapers on trains to help support his family, his days a blur of motion and struggle. Every coin he earned mattered. Running alongside the massive steam trains, handing papers to passing passengers, he learned the value of hard work. It was a life far from the quiet world of books and homeschooling, a daily lesson in resilience. But inside those very trains, he found something priceless. In a small, rattling baggage car, he carved out a tiny space for himself, a makeshift laboratory filled with bottles, wires, and simple tools. It was his sanctuary, a place to experiment, to learn, to dream. Amidst the roar of the wheels and the whistle of the engine, he was quietly building the foundations of his future, mixing chemicals and chasing ideas. One day, an accident changed everything. A chemical test tube exploded, filling the car with smoke and fire. In the chaos, the train guards, furious and panicked, threw him off the train, his precious supplies scattered in the dirt. It was a harsh, abrupt end to his mobile laboratory. Most would have stopped there. Most would have seen it as a sign to give up, to find a safer, more predictable path. But Edison had already seen what learning could become. He had tasted the thrill of discovery. He knew, with a certainty that settled deep in his bones, that he had no choice but to keep going. With nothing but a small bag and a mind full of ideas, he walked on. Years passed. Ideas multiplied, and so did the failures. Inside his workshop, he kept pushing, sketch after sketch, prototype after prototype. He was driven by a powerful belief that progress was hidden inside persistence. Each failed bulb, each burnout filament was not an end, but a stepping stone. But persistence doesn't pay the bills. The funding ran low. Materials became expensive. And once again, people began whispering. "He's a fool," they said. "He should quit before he loses everything." In the long shadows of his nearly empty workshop, he would count the few coins he had left, the weight of their judgment pressing down on him. Giving up was never an option. He kept searching, testing, and refining. He tried bamboo fibers, cotton threads, even horsehair, looking for the one material that could withstand the heat and hold the light. It was a meticulous, exhausting search for the right combination, the right design, the right breakthrough. Then came the worst night of all. Another prototype, another hope, was connected to the circuit. It flared brightly for a second before bursting in a shower of sparks, filling the room with acrid smoke. The sound of shattering glass echoed in the sudden silence. And Thomas Edison, physically and emotionally exhausted, fell to his knees. He stared at the ruins of his latest attempt, the culmination of years of relentless work. For the first time, a profound doubt crept into his heart. Maybe, he thought, I'm not the one to solve this. But as he sat there in the darkness, head in his hands, something inside him refused to break. A quiet strength, forged in a lonely classroom and on a noisy train, rose to the surface. He whispered to himself, his voice barely audible, "I haven't failed. I've just found another way that won't work." With the first light of dawn entering the workshop, he stood up, a renewed clarity in his eyes. He simplified everything. He cleared his workbench, organized his tools, and focused all his attention on one single promising material, a simple carbonized cotton fiber. And then it happened. He connected the wires, and the filament began to glow. It held. It kept burning. 1 minute, 5 minutes, 10. The light was steady, warm, and unwavering. It didn't stop. The room filled with a gentle, golden light. A light that seemed to come not just from the bulb, but from the very hope it carried. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, a smile spread across Edison's face. That moment changed history. The world would never be dark in the same way again. Cities became illuminated, homes filled with light, and it all started with one man who simply refused to quit. Edison later said, "Many of life's failures are people who didn't realize how close they were to success when they gave up." Remember this. Your breakthrough might be just one step, one more attempt away. So, here's the question. What would your life look like if you refused to quit?